Canada's largest grocer paid $500 million after admitting to a 14-year conspiracy to overcharge you on bread. That same company was caught weighing meat with its package, charging you for plastic instead of protein. And they are not alone. Shop at the wrong store, and what you are really paying for is price-fixed staples, underweighted meats sold by the kilogram, with the tray included, and imported products disguised as Canadian with fake maple leaf symbols on the label. If you have been loyal to the same chain for 10, 20, 30 years, every deception we uncovered has been draining your wallet and undermining your health that entire time. We are counting down 11 Canadian grocery stores you should think twice about, from quietly inflated prices to outright fraud. Number 1 is a name nearly every Canadian household trusts completely, plus the 3 stores that actually earned your loyalty. Coming in at number 11, Giant Tiger. The friendly neighborhood, discount store, low prices, cheerful staff, the place working families trust for affordable groceries every single week. Giant Tiger built its brand on being the little guy looking out for everyday Canadians. The store that understood your budget when the big chains did not. Then the Competition Bureau revealed what the little guy was really doing. Giant Tiger was named alongside Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro, and Walmart in a bread price fixing investigation. A 14-year conspiracy. From 2001 to 2015, these companies allegedly coordinated to artificially inflate the price of bread across the country. Bread, the most basic staple in any Canadian kitchen. The one item you never think twice about putting in your cart. Walk into a Giant Tiger right now. Pick up a loaf of whole wheat. Feel the weight of it in your hand. That loaf cost you more than it should have for over a decade. And no one told you. For anyone managing diabetes or heart disease whose doctor recommended whole grain bread. For blood sugar control, or families stretching a tight grocery budget across a full week of meals. You were overpaying for a dietary staple your physician told you to eat. The very food meant to keep you healthy was quietly siphoning extra dollars from your pocket. 14 years of inflated prices on bread. Your neighborhood store knew the entire time. Giant Tiger's prices were never as low as they promised. They were part of the scheme. Your trust was the product, and they sold it for 14 years without blinking. If that is what the budget stores are hiding, surely the specialty chains offer something more honest. Think again. At number 10, T&T Supermarket, Canada's largest Asian grocery chain. The place where you find authentic ingredients other stores simply do not carry. Fresh seafood tanks bubbling in the back. Specialty sauces lining entire aisles. Imported produce flown in from across the Pacific. T&T built something unique in Canadian retail, a grocery stores, that actually understood what millions of Canadians wanted to cook. What most shoppers do not know is that T&T is wholly owned by Loblaws companies. The same Loblaws behind the bread price-fixing scandal. The same Loblaws now named as a defendant in a proposed class action lawsuit, alleging its stores systematically overcharged customers by including packaging weight in meat and seafood prices. Stand at the seafood counter at T&T. Watch them weigh your wild salmon, your shrimp, your fresh catch of the day. That styrofoam tray, that plastic wrap, that absorbent pad at the bottom soaking up liquid, all of it is sitting on the scale. You are paying seafood prices for packaging materials, up to 8% more on every single purchase. For anyone relying on lean proteins like fish and seafood to manage cholesterol, or families who depend on T&T for authentic weekly meals built around fresh protein, that hidden premium adds up to hundreds of dollars a year. Money you thought was going toward better nutrition was going toward plastic and styrofoam. Your favorite grocery store, Loblaws fingerprints, Loblaws practices, Loblaws prices, different name on the sign, same deception on the scale. See the pattern forming? Loblaws' reach extends further than most Canadians realize, and their discount banner is next. Number 9 is a store most budget shoppers trust without question. Food Basics. Metro's deep discount banner. No frills, no fancy displays, just the lowest everyday prices for families watching every dollar. That is the promise. The reality is that Metro, Food Basics' parent company, was named in the bread price-fixing lawsuit right alongside Loblaws and Sobeys. Your discount store's parent was allegedly helping fix prices on bread while you were shopping there, specifically to save money on bread. But it doesn't stop at bread. Dalhousie University's Agri-Food Analytics Lab found that Metro earned excess gross profits during the exact period when Canadians faced record food inflation. While you were cutting coupons and switching to store brands and skipping the items you used to enjoy, Metro was quietly pocketing higher margins on the food you could barely afford. Walk the aisles of food basics. Look around. Notice what surrounds you. Processed snacks stacked floor to ceiling. Sodium-loaded canned goods filling entire rows. Ultra-cheap frozen meals with ingredient lists longer than your grocery receipt. The fresh produce section is small and tucked in the corner. The whole grain options are limited and overpriced compared to the processed alternatives. For anyone managing hypertension whose doctor said reduce your sodium intake immediately, or families trying to feed kids something nutritious on a budget that gets tighter every month, a discount store that profits from inflation pushes you toward the cheapest options on the shelf. And the cheapest options are almost always the ones loaded with the sodium, sugar, and preservatives your body cannot handle. Discount prices on the sign, premium profits in the boardroom, your health caught in the middle. A lot of people switched to the next store on this list thinking they were getting a better deal with fresher food. They were not. Here is where it gets personal. Number 8. FreshCo. Sobeys discount brand. Fresh produce. Low prices. The word fresh is literally in the name. It is a promise printed on every sign, every flyer, every bag you carry out the door. In late 2024, CBC News walked into a FreshCo in Toronto and started weighing packages of meat. Pork, chicken, beef. Package after package came back light. The label said one weight, the scale said another. The difference was the plastic tray, the cling wrap, the absorbent pad at the bottom. All weighed as if they were meat. On a single grocery bill, the overcharge calculated out to 7%. 7% does not sound like much until you multiply it across every package of meat you have. Bought there this year, and last year, and the year before that. Pick up a package of chicken breast at FreshCo next time you are there. Feel the weight of it in your hand. Now imagine peeling away the tray, and the wrap, and the pad. What you are holding is less protein than you paid for, less than the label promised, less than what your meal plan requires. For anyone carefully portioning lean protein to manage heart disease or keep cholesterol in check, or for families relying on accurate labels to plan balanced weekly meals on a fixed budget, getting 7% less meat throws off your dietary plan and your grocery budget at the same time. You thought you were buying 400 grams. You got 372. The word fresh is on the building. The honesty is not on the scale. Fresh by name, short by weight. If a discount store cannot even weigh meat honestly, surely paying more for a premium regional chain gets you something better, right? Not even close. Drop a comment if you have been shopping at one of these chains without knowing any of this. Let us see how many of us were in the dark. At number 7, we have a chain that built its entire reputation on community and quality. Save on Foods. Owned by the Jimmy Pattison Group, proudly Western Canadian. The store that sponsors local hockey teams and food bank drives and community fundraisers. Community spirit on the outside, premium pricing on the inside. Unlike No Frills, FreshCo, or Superstore, Save on Foods does not offer price matching. If you find the same item cheaper somewhere else, that is your problem. Independent price comparisons have consistently shown that Save on Foods shelf prices run significantly higher than discount competitors across Western Canada. Not slightly higher, significantly. That community-focused branding costs you real money every single trip. Stand in the produce section at Save on Foods. Compare the price of bell peppers, of broccoli, of a simple bag of apples. Then drive to any discount competitor within 10 minutes. The difference is not subtle. It is not a few cents. You are paying a premium for the feeling of shopping local and supporting your community. But the groceries come from the same national suppliers and distribution centers as everyone else. For anyone on blood pressure or diabetes medication who needs consistent meals built around fresh produce every single day, or families in smaller Western Canadian towns where Save on Foods is the only realistic option, those inflated prices on fruits and vegetables push you toward cheaper alternatives. Canned soup loaded with sodium, processed frozen meals packed with sugar, The food that makes your condition worse, not better. Community values on the banner. Premium prices on the receipt. Your health paying the difference every time you check out. If premium regional chains overcharge you, at least the biggest retailer in the country keeps prices honest. That is what millions of Canadians believe about the next store on this list. Number 6 draws millions of Canadians every single week. Walmart. Everyday low prices. Groceries, pharmacy, household goods, all under one roof. Convenient, affordable, everywhere. Walmart was named in the bread price fixing investigation. The everyday low price store was allegedly helping inflate the price of the most everyday product in your cart. But that is not what earned Walmart this spot on the list. In early 2025, CBC investigated a Walmart in Richmond, British Columbia. They found underweighted turkey and other meat products. The calculated overcharge was nearly 7% on a single bill. Packaging weighed as protein, plastic charged at meat prices. The same scheme, the same deception, a different logo on the building. Now think about what Walmart really is. Pharmacy and groceries side by side. Millions of Canadians over 50 pick up their diabetes medication, their blood pressure pills, their cholesterol, prescriptions, and then walk 10 steps to buy the groceries meant to complement those prescriptions. If the meat is underweighted, your protein portions are wrong. If bread was price fixed for 14 years, your staples cost too much. And surrounding you on every side are aisles of ultra-processed, high-sugar convenience foods designed to grab your attention, while your prescription bag sits in the cart. Pharmacy and grocery in one building. Prescriptions and deception under one roof. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these investigations. Check your last Walmart receipt. That meat you bought. You paid for the tray too. And the next brand on this list was caught doing something even worse. The overcharges were higher. The betrayal cuts deeper. This next one might surprise you. Number 5, no frills. The no-nonsense yellow and black bag-your-own-groceries Loblaws banner. No frills is where smart Canadians go to. Save money. That is the entire brand identity. Skip the extras, get the deals. Keep more money in your pocket. In late 2024, CBC walked into a no frills in Calgary. They weighed chicken, pork, and ground beef. Package after package came back short. Overcharges of up to 11% per item. Not 7 like FreshCo. Not 7 like Walmart. 11. The packaging was being weighed as meat. And at no frills, the gap was the worst of any store CBC tested. 11%. That is not a rounding error. That is a business practice. But no frills was not done. The chain was also implicated in the broader Loblaws bread price-fixing scandal. The store that promised you the lowest prices was allegedly conspiring to raise them. Open your fridge right now. If that ground beef came from no frills, you got less than you paid for. The texture looks right, the color looks right, but the weight is wrong. For anyone carefully portioning protein to manage kidney function after age 50, or families stretching a fixed income to put balanced meals on the table, 11% less meat per package is not a small thing. It is the difference between the nutrition your doctor prescribed and the nutrition you actually received. No frills, no extras, no honesty. We are not done with Loblaws. The next store on this list carries their logo too. And what they were caught doing is not about weight or price. It is about identity. The next 3 stores on this list were all caught doing something the government specifically asked them to stop. 2 of them refused. What they are hiding will change how you shop. Number 4 is where the deception shifts from pricing to identity. Fortinos. Loblaws Premium Ontario banner. The upscale shopping experience. Beautiful bakeries, imported cheeses, specialty deli meats. The kind of store where you pay more because you believe you are getting something better. Something authentic. Something real. In 2026, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency fined a Fortinos location in Toronto $10,000. The reason? Misrepresenting imported French cheese as Canadian. A maple leaf symbol stamped right on the product. The universal sign for Canadian made. On cheese that came from France. Multiple customer complaints had previously flagged produce with mismatched country of origin labels at Fortinos stores. Apples labeled as Canadian that were not Canadian. Products marked with origins that did not match their actual source. Pick up a block of cheese at Fortinos. Look at that little maple leaf. Feel good about buying Canadian. Except you are not buying Canadian. You are buying French cheese in Canadian packaging at a Canadian premium price. For older adults who specifically pay more for locally sourced Canadian products, whether for dietary reasons, ethical concerns, or to support local farmers, or anyone choosing Canadian to avoid additives permitted in other countries, this deceptive labeling removes your ability to make informed decisions. You cannot choose Canadian if you cannot trust the label that says Canadian. $10,000. That is the fine for lying to your customers about where their food comes from. $10,000 is what Loblaws spends on signage for a single store. The next chain on this list was asked to cooperate with the federal government on food prices. Their CEO refused. Which grocery store do you trust most in Canada? Drop it below. I want to know what you are seeing in your community. Now at number 3, Metro. Reliable, quality-focused, strong roots in Ontario and Quebec, fresh departments you can count on, neighborhood convenience you have depended on for decades. Metro was named in the bread price fixing lawsuit alongside Loblaws and Sobeys. That alone would earn a spot on this list. But Metro went further. When the federal government asked Canada's major grocery chains to provide monthly updates on price stabilization efforts, to show Canadians they were taking inflation. Seriously? Metro's CEO refused. He cited concerns about disclosing commercially sensitive information. Translation? Our pricing strategy is none of your business, even when your elected government asked on your behalf. Even when Canadians were choosing between groceries and rent, the other chains at least pretended to cooperate. Metro did not even bother with the pretense. They said no and moved on. Think about what that refusal means for you personally. Canadians were struggling with record grocery inflation. The government stepped in to demand transparency from the companies profiting the most, and Metro told them no. Walk into Metro today. The lighting is warm. The produce is neatly stacked. The bakery smells like fresh bread baked that morning. Everything looks trustworthy. Everything feels like a store that cares. But behind those displays sits a company that refused to show the federal government how it sets the prices you pay every week. For anyone managing heart disease who depends on consistent pricing for dietary staples like whole grain bread and fresh vegetables, or families in Ontario and Quebec, where Metro is often the closest and most convenient option, you are shopping at a chain that prioritizes shareholder secrecy over your right to fair and transparent pricing. Warm lighting, fresh bread smell, closed books. The next store on this list has loyal customers who have shopped there for generations. What the inspectors found will test that loyalty. Number 2 is one of Canada's oldest grocery names, Sobeys. Over a century of history, family-run roots, community involved. The chain your grandparents trusted, your parents trusted, and you probably trust right now. In 2026, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency launched an investigation into labeling practices at Sobeys' head office. Not a single store manager making a mistake. Head office, the place where national decisions get made for every location across the country. CBC found imported almonds and other products at Sobeys stores marked with maple leaf symbols and made in Canada claims. Almonds that were not Canadian. Products wrapped in patriotism that came from somewhere else entirely. Pick up that bag of almonds at Sobeys. Look at the maple leaf printed proudly on the packaging. It feels Canadian. It looks Canadian. It is not Canadian. This was not a single store making an honest error on one product. This was a pattern investigated at the corporate level. And like Metro, Sobeys refused the federal government's request for monthly price stabilization updates. 2 of Canada's biggest grocers, both named in price-fixing investigations, both caught in labeling controversies, and both refusing transparency when the government asked for it on your behalf. For anyone who deliberately seeks out Canadian-sourced foods to avoid contaminants or additives permitted in other countries, or for people managing conditions like kidney disease, where knowing exactly what you are eating and where it came from genuinely matters, being misled about where your food actually comes from strips away your ability to protect yourself and make informed health decisions. Over a century of trust, a maple leaf that means nothing. That is 11 brands exposed, 11 chains that broke your trust in different ways. But we saved the worst for last. And it is the one name nearly every Canadian knows. We are not done. The number one spot goes to a chain that did not just bend the rules. They broke them in 3 different ways. And they paid $500 million because the evidence was undeniable. And here it is. Number 1, Loblaws. Canada's largest grocery retailer. A century of history. The store where Canadian families do their weekly shop. Fresh food, fair prices, reliability. That is the brand. Here is the truth. Loblaws admitted to participating in a 14-year bread price-fixing conspiracy and paid a $500 million settlement. They did not deny it. They did not fight it. They wrote the check because the evidence was undeniable. 14 years of inflated bread prices. Millions of Canadian families paying more for the most basic item in their cart. But bread was just the beginning. A CBC investigation revealed that Loblaws sold underweighted meat across 80 stores. 80 locations where packaging was weighed as protein. 80 stores where you paid for plastic and called it dinner. And then the maple washing. Multiple Loblaw-owned stores were fined by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency for disguising imported products as Canadian. Fake maple leaf symbols, false origin claims, products dressed up in Canadian identity that came from somewhere else entirely. Pick up bread at Loblaws. Price fixed? Pick up meat, underweighted. Pick up something labeled Canadian. It might not be. 3 deceptions, 3 betrayals. 1 store. For anyone managing diabetes who depends on accurate bread pricing for budget planning, or people with heart disease relying on correct protein portions, or Canadians with kidney problems who need truthful origin labels for dietary safety, Loblaws failed you on every single front. Price, weight, identity, every label, every scale, every price tag. None of them told the truth. $500 million. That is what they paid. And they are still the biggest grocer in the country. 11 stores, 11 betrayals. But not every chain in Canada operates this way. 3 stores prove it is still possible to shop with confidence. Real prices, honest labels. Food you can actually trust. Costco. The membership warehouse where bulk buying meets genuine value. Costco operates on a model most grocers refuse to touch. Aggressive cost controls. Razor-thin margins on products. Revenue driven by memberships, not by quietly inflating your grocery bill when you are not looking. Their Kirkland Signature House brand undergoes independent third-party testing. Not we tested it ourselves and everything looks fine. Trust us. Independent verification. Published standards. The kind of transparency that Loblaws and Sobeys cannot offer because their track records would not survive the scrutiny. In the 2025 Dunnhumby Retailer Preference Index, Costco was ranked Canada's #1 grocery retailer across all 5 consumer pillars: price, quality, digital experience, speed, and the one that matters most after everything you just heard, trust. Costco was not implicated in the bread price-fixing scandal. Costco has not been caught in meat-weighing controversies. Costco does not maple wash its products with fake origin labels. Walk the aisles. The wild-caught salmon is labeled accurately. The organic olive oil is third-party verified. The bulk unsalted nuts come with clear and honest origin information. For anyone following a cardiologist-recommended eating plan, or families managing diabetes on a fixed income who cannot afford to wonder whether the label is telling the truth, Costco's bulk pricing ons. Heart-healthy staples makes it genuinely easier to eat well without the stress and the doubt that comes from shopping at the chains we just exposed. The salmon is real. The olive oil is verified. The nuts have clear origins. The price on the label is the price you actually pay. Honest weight, honest prices, honest labels. 3 things that should not be remarkable. After everything on this list, they absolutely are. Farm Boy. An Ontario-based chain that built its entire identity on something radical in Canadian grocery, actually telling you where your food comes from. Farm Boy sources heavily from local Canadian farms and clearly labels product origins on the shelf, not with a decorative maple leaf slapped on imported goods to make you feel patriotic. With actual, verifiable sourcing information, you can check for yourself. Multiple consumer surveys confirm that Farm Boy produce lasts noticeably longer than competitors. That is not clever marketing. That is fresher supply chains, delivering food that has not been sitting in warehouses and on trucks for weeks before it reaches your kitchen. Pick up a tomato at Farm Boy. Look at the label. It tells you the farm. It tells you the region. It tells you what you are actually buying. No guesswork, no deception, just information. During the Buy Canadian movement, shoppers specifically praised Farm Boy for making accurate and transparent efforts to label Canadian products correctly. While Sobeys and Fortinos were stamping fake maple leaves on imports and hoping no one would notice, Farm Boy was doing the quiet, unglamorous work of verifying origins and getting the labels right. Their prepared meals section offers low sodium, whole food options that are clearly labeled with full ingredient lists and nutritional information. For anyone managing blood pressure or cholesterol who needs to know exactly what is in their food, or families who want to feed their kids real meals without scrutinizing every ingredient list for hidden sodium and misleading health claims, Farm Boy removes the guesswork entirely. You can read the label and believe it. That should not feel revolutionary. After everything on this list, it does. Local co-ops, Calgary Co-op, federated cooperatives across Western Canada, independent co-ops in communities from coast to coast. These stores operate on a model that eliminates the core problem behind almost every single betrayal on this list. Shareholder profit. Co-ops are owned by their members. That means you. Profits are returned to shoppers as patronage dividends, not funneled to executives and investors sitting in towers on Bay Street. When Loblaws fixed bread prices for 14 years, shareholders benefited from the inflated margins. When Metro refused transparency, shareholders were protected by the secrecy. Co-ops do not have that conflict of interest. The people who shop there are the same people who own it. That changes every single incentive in the building. Many co-ops carry locally sourced products with transparent supply chains and shorter ingredient lists. Verifiable origin claims that hold up to scrutiny. The kind of accountability that comes naturally from answering to your neighbors and your community, rather than a corporate boardroom in another city. Walk into your local co-op. Talk to the staff. Ask where the beef comes from. Ask who grew the tomatoes on that shelf. You will get a real answer from someone who knows. Try asking that at Loblaws. For anyone managing hypertension or diabetes who needs to trust that prices are fair and labels are honest, or families who want to support their own community instead of a corporation that spent 14 years quietly overcharging them on bread, a co-op puts the power back where it belongs. In your hands, not theirs. 11 stores exposed. 3 you can trust. Your grocery cart deserves honesty. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.